On this week's FAS TV, we're in Aberdeenshire with Rory and Steph Gregor. The dynamic pair have built their innovative agricultural business from scratch, have purchased a farm, built up a substantial sheep enterprise, on top of diversifying into sheep scanning, flower picking and growing, and offering pumpkin picking to the public in October at the Pumpkin Ranch at Thainstone.
So we are Rory, Steph and Stanley Gregor, and we're here at our home farm at Greenmire in Old Meldrum.
Here at Greenmire, this is the base of our farming business. We run about 1,500 ewes. This is a mixture of pedigrees and commercials. We've only got 50 acres here at Greenmire, so we rent quite a lot of land out about. This is also the base of contracting works we do and where we grow our pumpkins. Agriculture's always been a passion of mine, but it was knowing the correct avenue to get into it. When I left school, I worked on a local farm for a year and at weekends prior to that. But I wanted to do it independently, so it was trying to find the right avenue into it. So when I left school in 2008, I then took full-time employment as a structural designer for an oil and gas company, which I did for 10 years, maybe 8 years. And from that helped me build up a wee bit of revenue and on the side build up my flock. Like I started with 6 sheep when I was about 8 years old. Now we're on about 1,500. So the oil and gas was the kind of stepping stone to generate income and give me time to build up the flock, which has kind of been the backbone to building the business of what we've got now. Oil and gas was probably never going to be a long-term career for me. I did enjoy it, but I couldn't face in the summer months being stuck inside an office looking outside the glorious weather. It was more natural for me to then try and pursue my career full-time in what I was passionate about. In 2015, I left oil and gas. I took a sabbatical to kind of dip my toe in agriculture full-time and see if it really was what I wanted to do. It was probably because trying to do it full-time independently from scratch, it's tough to get into and a lot of financial pressures, but I would say it's definitely been the right decision for us. When I made the jump to full-time agriculture, building up more land to rent was definitely a hurdle, and still it is. I was lucky enough to secure probably 100 acres of rented land, and over the last 5 years, there was more of that farm was rented out for arable, but over the last 5 years, we've ended up taking the whole farm on. Land availability is definitely a stumbling block to being able to build up. Having primarily sheep, again, stocking densities are a big challenge because you've enough grass in the summertime, but you've nowhere enough in the wintertime, so we're growing a lot of forage crops to finish lambs and to winter ewes on neeps. We take in B&B cattle in the wintertime to utilise our sheds to just generate some more income and also muck for feeding the land and the crops we grow. Because I'm self-employed, I felt it was important to kind of try and build up an asset to call our own instead of just trying to rent all our land. At the end of the day, this farm hopefully will pay it off, and this is our pension pot in the future. So it was important to me that we tried to make the difficult decision to actually purchase a place, and this was really hard to do, but we're 3 years in now. Hopefully we've kind of ridden the storm of the worst interest rates, we'll see, for a while, and we've got by this, so hopefully it'll get easier going forward. To me, it's important that we're actually building up and paying off an asset that one day we can call our own. Having a large mortgage on a bought farm, it's kind of put pressure on us to look for and pursue other avenues of income, diversification. So like the scanning is a big part of our business, and the lamb sales is also very important. We sell quite a lot of rams as well, pedigree rams, crossbred rams and gimmers. As far as diversification goes, we've got a small honesty box farm shop at the bottom of the road, and it's a really simple setup, but it's couthy, and I think it kind of suits the local area. It doesn't generate a lot, but at the end of the day, it's something. As well as our farm shop honesty box, we also do some seasonal pick your own flowers, and we also grow a large volume of pumpkins, and on one of our other sites we do a pick your own pumpkin patch, which is open to the public for generally the October holidays for school kids. From between October to March, the start of March, most days I am off farm doing pregnancy scanning in other people's commercial and pedigree flocks. The main purpose of this scanning is to identify barren ewes, so empty ewes, so the farmer can cull them to improve efficiencies. It's also important that number of lambs is accurately scanned to ensure that feeding on the run-up to lambing can be managed accurately to avoid singles getting too big, to avoid triplets getting malnourished. Again, helping profitability in the farms where I'm working at. When I weigh scan in the winter time, Lewis, who works full-time for us, he's fully in charge here. I see very little because daylight is short at that time of year, so Lewis is in charge of managing the sheep and the B&B cattle that we bring in. We don't do that much agricultural contract works out about in the winter time, because it's necessary that Lewis is here. So in the run-up to winter, it's important that we manage our workload quite carefully so that it's sustainable for Lewis to be on top of everything, get around, make sure sheep have got plenty of grass in front of them, plenty of neeps in front of them to keep them going. Lewis started working for us when he was 16 years old. We employed him initially through the Ringlink Scotland apprenticeship. Lewis wasn't brought up with a farming background, so kind of got thrown at the deep end, but he's adapted to it really well. From tractor work to stock work, he seems to be able to turn his hand to anything.
I got into farming through the school. They guided me the right way to go to the Ringlink to start an apprenticeship there. So I did my 3 weeks trial with Rory, and then after that they put me to Crofts to do a few weeks tractor driving, forklift, just various tickets to get you a start. And after that then I started with Rory full time after I was finished my 3 weeks, and then 6.5 years later I'm still here. I like working with Rory. Like I say, I get to do, there's a lot of things we do from sheep to pumpkins. Like every day there's something different. It's not always the same. There's always something new or some of Rory's new ideas. Me, myself, not come from a farming background and wanted to do that when I was at school. It's a right way to get in. If you don't really know anybody and you want a way in, then I think it's a good way to get in, to go through the ring, and they help you kind of find somewhere to go and to get you set up. I like working with the sheep all winter. I like going out fencing, I like making sure everybody's okay. And again, in the summertime, I like my tractor work. I like getting crops in, and I know I have a head start for me in the winter time because I'm going to be looking after in the winter time. So if there's a good crop there, it makes it a lot easier for me and not having to shift about and just get I like being organised and set up. The thing I like about it is that everybody I've worked with always seems so friendly and easy to get on with, and the variety. Like, I wouldn't like sitting in an office doing the same thing. I like being outside and there's always something new to do.
Our sheep system includes approximately 200 Beltics or Beltics cross ewes. These are mainly used for breeding tups, for selling and for using ourselves. As well as the Beltics, we'd run about 300 Suffolk Cross commercial ewes. These ewes we use as recipient mothers for the embryo transfer programme we do. A large proportion of the ewe lambs will gimmer, and these are available to sell off farm. It's quite a good revenue in the middle of the summer when cash flow is tighter. We also run about 1,000 white-faced ewes. A lot of these ewes would have started with us as a pure Shetland ewe. We then crossed them with the Cheviot, and then that Shetland cross Cheviot we've then crossed with Frontiera tups, which would be a kind of Texel cross Blueface Leicester. These ewes are self-replacing. The flock is now fully closed, MV accredited. We've not brought in any breeding females for about 10 years now. The Beltics ewes probably started them building up about 15 years ago. At the time, the main reason why I picked Beltics as a pedigree breed to pursue was to compete in fat lamb, prime lamb competitions at winter time. I've done quite well with these over the years, winning numerous champions. The main commercial value of the Beltics as a terminal sire to use in commercial flocks is the killing out percentage and the quality of the carcass. and the low intramuscular fat. It kind of really is breeding what the butcher wants. The Beltix yows are mainly lambed at the end of March and the start of April. The main reason why I lamb them late compared to probably other Beltix breeders is because normally I'll be scanning right up until about the 15th of March. And the kind of value of the flock that we feel we've got, I want to be at home to do it myself, to kind of take control. But the main purpose of the Beltix yows is to breed shearling tups to sell. We'll sell about 50 shearling tups a year. These are a mixture of kind of natural born lambs or embryo lambs. Over the years, we've done quite well within the breed. We've had champion group of 3 at the Highland Show, male champion at the Welsh Show. We've sold ram lambs for 9,000, 5,000. Probably now more, because I've moved the lambing later, we're focusing more on producing shearlings as opposed to ram lambs. We just feel it's maybe a wee bit more consistent. You can predict whether your kind of sale prices you're going to get within reason, as opposed to getting 9,000 for one lamb and 300 for the next. So it's a more reliable income, which we feel we need to pay the mortgage. The commercial yows, which are mainly consist of whiteface sheep, which would have originated out the Shetland yow, crossed with the Cheviot to give us the Shetland Cheviot. We've then improved this flock by adding some Texel, some Blueface Leicester, and to now what we feel we've got a desirable female, which has given us a decent lamb percentage. We could probably improve on that a bit yet, but top in early December for May lambing, prolificacy does seem to drop off a wee bit. Whether or not we tweak our genetics slightly to try and up our scan percentage slightly, this is something we might do, but we are happy with how the yow is performing. It is a smaller yow, probably averaging about 50 to 60 kilos, but if they're weaning at 1.6, they're managing to wean their own body weight, which we feel is important to us. The whole commercial flock is MV accredited. This is a rising problem within the UK, is MV as a disease. So the fact we're fully closed, we don't feel the risk. If we buy in any stock tups, any Beltix stock tups, as soon as they come home, they are tested and isolated until we get the results are clear, because we feel that our health status is so important to reliable income, because if you lose this health status, then you can lose your income that you're projecting. Other things that I feel are really important, and this has mainly been highlighted by doing the contract scanning, is abortion in sheep. We vaccinate against abortion in sheep because I've seen, when out on farm doing contract scanning, the horror show that it can be. And people can be losing half, if not more, their lamb crop by simply not vaccinating. So to us, the health status and maintaining good hygiene and health in the flock is so important. And it's something I think a lot of farms oversee. The bulk of the commercial yows are lambed in May. However, last year we kind of tested the water with a new practice where we put tups in for 3 days to 1,000 yows for mid-April lambing. The reason we did this is we thought, well, there's no extra money spent, we don't need to synchronise them through sponging or anything, but we thought if we can get 100 of these lambed in 3 days at a different graze, smaller grazing, then it would take the pressure off for the May lambing. So, however, in the 3 days last year, for mid-April, 300 held out of that 1,000 in the 3 days tupping. So we felt that worked really well because, like I say, we had a short, sharp burst of lambing that we did at separate grazings, outdoor. It took 6, maybe 7 days max, but it then just let that lambing be start and finished in the last week of April so that we could then get the feet up for a wee minute before the May lambing started. The main reason why we've kind of chose May lambing is primarily the weather, and so that we can do the whole job outside. One man with, a bit of help here and there with some lambing pens can probably manage 1,000 yows, no problem lambing outside, providing the weather is inside, which the last couple of years it has been. Having a variety of different enterprises on the farm, the sheep, the scanning, the pumpkins, it's The main driver behind having these different ventures is generation of income at different times of year to ensure that cash flow is consistent to help us pay the mortgage.
So the flowers here at Greenmire we actually planted the year we got married in 23. So we decided that coming up the driveway it'd be really nice to just plant some wildflower and just make the entrance to the farm look really nice and pretty. Then once the wedding was passed, all the flowers were still really nicely in bloom. So we realised rather than just letting them go to waste, we would open up a pick your own flowers. So just bringing in members of the public and just having a different experience. It was kind of late summer holidays and a lot of people fed back that it was really nice just to do something different with the kids. We then didn't plant any flowers in 24, but we had a lot of people message and get in touch just asking if we were doing it again. So into 25 we decided that we would plant the flowers again, but rather than going right up and down the drive, we've got a kind of smaller pick your own flower area and just different varieties that you would maybe find in the supermarkets as well. The flowers have really increased our bees being around the farm. The bees are great for our pumpkin flowers, for helping to pollinate them, so it's kind of all working hand in hand really nicely. So we started up the Greenmire farm unit at the bottom of the road just as a little honesty box for some of the veg that we grow here on the farm. So we've got leeks, tatties, onions, carrots, quite a nice range just of, especially at this time of year for like soups, all of your soup ingredients. So we just kind of keep the unit at the bottom of the road well stocked throughout the year. We now have supply Presleys in Old Meldrum, so they take some of our tatties, some leeks, and some of our pumpkins as well to sell within the shop. We have Stuart, one of our good friends. He helps us a lot with the veg, so he helps prepare the ground and get all the seeds for us so that we can get them planted. And again, he helps with the planting and the picking. So he's a really great help within the veg to us as well. And again, it's nice, it partners really nicely with the flowers because people that come to get flowers, they maybe don't realise we've got veg or vice versa. So again, it's just kind of opening up and keeping diversification strong within Greenmire. The pumpkin venture really came from Rory. It was, he was on Facebook one day and he's seen one of his friends and his wife and their little boy at a pumpkin patch, knee deep in mud, but having the best time ever. And Rory just said, you know, what could we do something with that? And we had the tunnel already at Thainstone, which used to be used for indoor lambing. So that was when we didn't have Greenmire. So obviously with then having Greenmire and a bit more scope to kind of build and kind of taking away the tunnel at Thainstone, the use of lambing there, because we now lamb here for indoor and outdoor. So we decided that we could utilise the indoor or undercover space at Thainstone within the tunnel to provide a pick your own pumpkin, but just being that little bit sheltered, because October weather, it's never going to be sunshine. It gives everyone just that little bit of cover and just the same enjoyment, but hopefully without the dubs. So we decided to grow our own pumpkins. It allows us to kind of have ownership and really a clear understanding of how we get from the seed to being in the pumpkin ranch. It's also really nice just to have that sense of achievement that we have taken all these small seeds and we've grown them into the pumpkins that you see at the tunnel. It allows us to really become a nice base as well. We're really promoting growing our own, taking them from the field to the polytunnel for customers to then buy, rather than supporting the supermarkets who have them shipped up in containers and lorries. And it just gives us a really nice sense of achievement with the pumpkins that we see around. And then just becomes a local event that people that come to us, they know that all the hard work that's gone into it, growing them, harvesting them, and then transporting them over to the tunnel from Meldrum to Inverurie. So our main marketing tool is our social media platforms. We have both an Instagram and a Facebook account. We try and keep them up to date with kind of how we are progressing at the farm. So this year our first post was the packets of seeds that we had once they arrived. And then we try and kind of bring people into the journey with us. So keeping our social media up to date really helps to promote our story of being homegrown. And it also keeps our audience engaged with us so that when we come to releasing tickets and kind of looking at the numbers for the year, it kind of helps us gauge the kind of awareness around the event, so that when it comes to our ticket release, we know that our following's there and that they're remembering that we are the Pumpkin Ranch and that we will be open again in October. So every year within the ranch, we kind of try to add different elements to everyone's experience when they come to visit us. So last year we added the Scooby-Doo van and we added a Mr. Bean mini. So again, through our social media, we're able to kind of give snippets. We tend to do like little teaser photos and then have a reveal once we are open. We also try and just keep our varieties slightly different. Being in the northeast of Scotland, we're trying to find the varieties that work really well to grow. So some years we'll try a new seed variation and see how that grows for us. So again, we just try to promote through our social media just the different seeds that we've got and maybe varieties that we've never had. So yeah, just always trying to add in different things. We would never want someone to come and say, oh, but this is just the same as last year. So it's just trying to have different photo opportunities, different like kind of props within the tunnel, within our ranch, so that people do feel like they come each year and they have those different moments.
So we purchase the seeds for the pumpkins in early spring. We normally purchase about 15 different varieties, maybe slightly more to be fair. But in total this year it equated to 25,000 seeds, which are all individually planted in late April into pots, into trays, individual plugs in our polytunnel, where we'll get them established for about a month to 6 weeks. We're then planting them out early June, into fields early to mid-June, kind of weather dependent. But it's kind of getting the plants strong before we plant them out is important, because we're quite exposed to wind here actually, and the plants are pretty fragile. There's a reason why you don't pass a field of pumpkins every day on your travels. So once the pumpkin plants are established within the polytunnel, about early to mid-June, we transplant them into the field. The physical planting out of the pumpkins, it is very labour intensive, and the first year when we grew them, I think we grew, I don't know, maybe 5,000 pumpkins, but we actually planted them the initial year in the polytunnel. And as we've expanded and grown, we're doing it out in the fields now. But the transplanting out to the fields itself, it used to be literally have a trowel, take the plant, bend over, dig the hole, patch it in. Whereas 2 years ago, I built a machine that we can trail behind the tractor. So about 2 years ago, I actually built a machine to assist in the plant of the pumpkins, and it's driven behind our small vintage tractor, should we say, and it's designed, well, it's got dibbles welded to a roller which pierces the holes in the plastic, and then behind this implement there's a bed where 3 people are trailed and they're planted in 3 lines, still hand planted, but with the assistance of the machine that I built, which actually works pretty well. You can cover the ground pretty quick, but 25,000 plants does still take a few days. So.
I think if we didn't have that machine to help us with the planting, it would be so labour intensive, and I think by the end of planting you would be totally fed up with it, whereas at least it's smoother and you can kind of get into the rhythm of it. So yeah.
The kind of life cycle of the pumpkin, it's very weather dependent, even to the point where we rely heavily on bees. In the past I've seen us buy in beehives, because pollination is key. There's a male flower and a female flower within the pumpkins, and cross-pollination is vital. The female flowers actually only live for, well, if they're not pollinated, they die off within 24 hours, so you've only got 1 day to pollinate that individual female flower. So bees is very important. This year we didn't actually buy any because it was such a warm spring, and we'd planted Phacelia and other wildflowers around about our pumpkins, we saw there was a lot of natural bee activity, and we kind of had confidence that they would be fit for the pollinating job without buying in any. And as you can see from the crop we've got, that they definitely managed.
I think there were a few worrying moments. I remember seeing some flowers and coming out to have a look, and I did take a cotton bud out for a few days, and then I was like, I can't go around all of them. But you just trust that the bees are there, and we did kind of always come out and just have a little look, and we could see a lot of activity, so it kind of takes the pressure off, because the pollination, if that doesn't happen, then there's no pumpkins, so really important.
The harvest of the pumpkins themselves there's no other way to do it than just manual labour. Once the pumpkins start to turn orange, they effectively can be cut at any point because they will ripen on or off of the vine. We tend to do it more last minute, just as we're lifting them, but it's a case of just cut the vine. Decoratively, it would probably be nicer if we could leave the stalks longer to maybe produce the perfect pumpkin, but however, because we're transporting them to our other site where we hold the event, we cut the stalks shorter because there's just less chance of damage in the boxes when they're being transported. But it literally is a case of cutting the vines and then lifting each one of them manually into the box, and there's quite a few.
And then once they're lifted here and transported back to where we have our polytunnel at Thainstone, we then have to lift them back out and lay them out ready for all the visitors coming in. So yeah, again, it's labour intensive here, getting them in and cut, and then labour intensive setting them out into the polytunnel. So generally, Rory and I kind of split the roles really well. Rory tends to deal with the pumpkin planting side of it, and I tend to cover like the social media, the tickets, kind of being more involved with keeping everything on track and everything progressing for the tunnel being opening. Just making sure that there's always someone at the end of the phone, or there's always somebody ready to answer emails. Our tickets go up on sale quite early at the end of August, so by the time October comes round, people have maybe got an event that clashes, so we're always kind of trying to be proactive and making sure that if they have booked a ticket and it doesn't work, that we kind of get them covered. So yeah, between the two of us, we kind of have our strengths in slightly different areas, which I think is why it works really well. Because if we were both trying to do one thing, it wouldn't happen.
You're busy at the tunnel throughout October, whereas I'm every day harvesting pumpkins and taking them to Thainstone to restock the tunnel by night when all the public have left, so to keep it topped up for the next day.
And our parents are really important as well in the kind of running of the tunnel and running of the event at Thainstone. They really help support us. They'll work in the tunnel during the day. If there's days that Rory needs to be here or I'm busy with Stanley, then they kind of do really help and just help take the pressure off sometimes as well. And they've helped us since we first opened. And yeah, they're very important to the smooth running of it. So I think one of the things that we really enjoy and that we find really rewarding from the pumpkins is the feedback that we get from the visitors that come and see us. We have customers that have come since the first year we opened, and it's funny how they have seen it grow each year and how we've been trying different things. And just, it's the memory side of it. It's something different to do with the kids during the holidays. We have a little, we have a board within the tunnel, how tall are you in pumpkins? And there's people that are like, oh, this is our 5th year getting the photo on the board, and we can see how much they've grown. And I think that side's really lovely. And it feels like your hard work really pays off when you kind of see the tunnel so busy and everyone having such a nice time, and you think, well, we made this and we've made this happen. And
the hard work's worth it.
Yeah, definitely.